Well, my government name is Brian Keith Jones Jr., but my stage name is Renaissance Jones. I got Renaissance Jones, well, originally when I got out of the Marine Corps, I started doing spoken word poetry. I'm really bad at names. Most of my friends, that's where I get my names from. So when I went back home and let them know, hey, I'm doing spoken word poetry, whatever, one of my friends had said, Jones a poet? So that became my moniker for 2.5 years, Jones a poet. But I was looking for something new because I felt like it limited to me. Like when I used to go perform and stuff like that, they would see poets, so they put me on the front of the bill. But then I would perform and they would notice that I use music and I actually perform like a regular artist. And I started going back here. Now when I transitioned into acting, again, I got the name from my friend. I was on the east side of Charlotte actually with some of my younger friends, and one of them had said, man, you don't know what you want to do. Like, you do everything. You're like a Renaissance man. And I was like, that's it, Renaissance Jones. So that's how that name came about. I am a actor, director, writer, spoken word artist. I've been doing it for, well, writing I've been doing since I was about 5. I've always written stories and poetry. I got back into poetry, like I said, after the Marine Corps. So that was around 2011. I started doing poetry. 2012, 13-ish is when I actually got into acting, and it just shot off from there. Actually, I originally started doing acting first. And I actually didn't want to be a filmmaker. I just wanted to be an actor. But I was really new. Nobody knew who I was. I couldn't get an audition to save my life. I couldn't get an extra role. I didn't know how to go about anything. So what I started doing was actually basically what Ben Affleck does now. I started writing my own scripts and casting myself and casting the rest of the people. It's just to show, hey, I can do this. And Caesar was one of my first short films I did, and after I did that, I actually started getting calls. People started saying, hey, I saw your thing, I think you're a pretty good actor, and they started bringing me on to do other roles as well, and people noticed my drive, and I continue to study and get better and better, and hey, I'm an actor of the year right now, baby. Let's see, when it comes to acting, my process, the first thing I do is of course, I read the script. I let them know whether I'm feeling it or not. They tell me what character I'm playing or something like that. And then after I read the script, I basically concentrate on my character, on his interactions with the people around him, male, female, girlfriend, friends, anything around him. I want to know exactly who is this guy, because a lot of directors don't give you a lot of backstory. Some of them let you create it your own. And then you have some directors who will actually give you a backstory like, hey, he graduated here, here, here. So my job for those who don't give it to me is to fill in the blanks. So when I get the character, I'll take one of my latest roles of Lover's Lane, Tommy I play. Reading the script, I noticed that he used a lot of up north terminology. Like he would say ma or, you know, stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, he's a northerner. So I'm from the DMV area. I've met a lot of New Yorkers. I've met a lot of people from Philly. So I try to channel that, if you will. I think about who I know who basically best embodies this character, and I pull pieces from one of my friends or people I've interacted with. Once I get there to where I'm like, okay, I know who this character is, then I start going back and, again, looking over the script again. It's all about studying, because the words really don't matter. It's the meaning behind it, what's going on, his mannerisms, how he says this, how he approaches person, how he does this. So then I start to break it down and I start to create the character. For my characters, I can tell you what high school they went to, when they graduated, what have they been doing since then. I try to create everything so when I'm in the moment, I'm in there, I know exactly who I am and who this character is, and so I can be true to them. I also use music as a lot. Music helps me out a lot as well as creating the character. When I first was on set with them, I didn't. It's funny because I look at the character and I bring it on set before they even say action. So when my first 3 days on Lover's Lane, I barely really spoke to the people that I knew I was going to be interacting with for the first time. Like me and Nelson were good friends or whatever, but those first 3 days I barely spoke to him because I knew my character had never met him, and when I met him, I was going to have to be on some aggressiveness, if you will. And just like Nicole, the actor, I knew our first meeting as well. Like, they introduced me, but I didn't talk to nobody. Everybody was looking at me like, why isn't he saying anything to anybody? Because I was in my character. My character was new. He didn't know anybody. So I had to channel that, if you will. And I was listening to a lot of 90s New York rap, hardcore rap. Like, people like, what are you listening to? I'm listening to DMX. I'm listening to Biggie. I'm listening to Nas. They're like, well, I'm getting into character. That's why I'm not really talking to anybody because when I come off, I want you to say, oh, man. And then the next 3 days I was on, that's when I could have conversations with Nicole or even Nelson because we interacted more. And at the time, as you saw, my character knew who Nicole was. So now I'm trying to get a rapport with her versus before, I don't know you, so I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to stay in character until we meet. Then I can speak to you. Everybody who knows me, I'm really a stickler for being in character. They know once they say action or even before, Jones is going to be in character. So that's pretty much my process, how it goes down. I choose my roles very carefully. I know this might come to a shock to a lot of people, but I'm not really concerned with being the lead, if you will. Like, that doesn't matter to me. I like to pick the most intriguing, interesting characters. That's just for myself. Like, two actors' careers I say I would love to model, Forrest Whitaker and Tom Hardy. Now, I know a lot of people will look like, who's Tom Hardy? Tom Hardy, he was in Inception, he was in Revenant. Usually in the big budget films, he's never the lead. He's always just a character on the side, but you always remember him. Like, I can tell you some of the lines he's saying, you'll be like, oh, okay, I remember him. But independently, he does lead. So I always like to look for the most interesting character. So once I read through the script or whatever, like, some people want me to be a lead, but to me, if the lead is not going to be memorable, then I'd rather go for this part over here. Like, I know one of my first projects, Double Pepperoni, there was a death scene. They showed me how they wanted to do the death scene, and it was actually incredible. And I was like, I want that character, because regardless of the whole movie, you're going to remember that scene. And even when I play it, a lot of people are like, yo, how did they kill you like that? Like, that's all they talk about. They don't talk about the lead or whatever. They talk about that scene. So I'm always looking for the scene or the line or the speech or whatever that I think the audience is going to remember and be like, yo, that was dope. Like, just think about your favorite movies. You remember The Matrix, you remember all these stuff, but there's something in there that happened that you will never forget. And those are the scenes or the parts that I want to play. Yeah, most of the projects I've done have been written by me, directed and produced. I'm getting out of that a little bit because I understand, like, I try to preach to especially like a lot of the younger filmmakers, because a lot of us have egos, but I think you need to put those away, because when you watch a movie, if you actually sit after the movie's over and watch the credits roll, you will see how many people actually it took to make this film. I know a lot of people just like to see their name on everything, but it's like the great films don't just have one name. Like, a Quentin Tarantino film is not just Quentin Tarantino. Those credits run for about 5 to 10 minutes if you actually stayed and watched. So I'm not opposed to writing for other people. I'm not even opposed to letting people direct some of the projects I write or bringing on writers. I actually always try to get a team for my films. Now, whether it works out or not, it's sometimes on them. Sometimes they get busy. Sometimes they're like, hey, I just want to do my own thing. So, I mean, it's no hard feelings, but I always try to bring people in to make it better, because all of us have our strengths that we can strengthen each other, versus you just doing everything and all the time. It's like, it takes a lot out of you, especially the pre-production from the producer's aspect, as well as the director's aspect, as well as the writer. If you're writing, you got to do, everybody knows who's a writer, you got to rewrites. Director, you got to make sure everything's in line. Directors know storyboard, cast the actors, make sure everything's on time. Producer, you got to make sure the money. It's so much in each job. So I salute those who can do it all just by themselves, but at the same time, talking to them, I know they're tired, because I've done it before, and it's like, man, sometimes you don't eat. As a matter of fact, before we had this interview, I was talking to Carlton, and Carlton Clay, Victory Productions, and we were talking, and we were just joking about how sometimes you can be on set from 8 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, and you forget to eat because there's so much to do, and sometimes you don't have the proper help to help you with everything. So I know we're working on a new series. I'm not going to give that away right now or whatever, but I'm helping with that as far as from the AD perspective, because like I told him, I understand he does so much, and I'm bringing on the crew. I want him to be able to concentrate on one thing and not be, I want him to eat. Just like I want everybody to be able to eat and not be so, we're trying to get it done, but always use help. So we're doing that. My biggest passion, I would say, is creating and helping people. Like I said, I've been writing since I was a little kid. Like when I had action figures, I would literally make, if not wrestling stories, I would make movies and make my action figures carry the stuff out. Like, I've always been creative, and honestly, I tried to suppress it at a certain time. I felt like I was grown. You're not gonna do this or whatever, so let's just get the job or whatever. But I was miserable just working and not being able to be creative me, if you will. That and helping people. I'm not above helping people. I feel like in the world, if more people would help each other, it would be actually a better world, because I'm a person, everybody who knows me, I'm not a greedy person. Like, I understand people get rich and I just feel like, how much money do you need? Like, you have billionaires who won't give back to no charity, won't help nobody, but they'll take your money. I understand you're doing it for your generations, but how much money do you personally in your life need? You already know you got your children set, but you just can't walk over everybody. So those are my two biggest passions, creating and helping people. And I feel like when I get to a certain level in my career that I want to get to, I'll be able to carry out my ultimate plan. My ultimate plan really is, I want to help my community through mentorship, through certain schools. I know there's a school in Texas, I can't think of the name of it or whatever, but it teaches us our history, and it's a different learning aspect. As well as I know is Dr. Umar Johnson, he wanted a school. Like, I feel like if I was at that level of a Denzel or something, he would have a school, because I know my lane, and I want to stay in my lane and help my community, as well as help veterans. Like I said, I was in the Marine Corps, and 70-something% of the population who are homeless are veterans. And as a veteran coming out, I can see how that can happen, because I had some bad luck as far as I was out of work for like a year. Nobody would hire me. I'm filling out job applications. I'm trying to go everywhere. So I can see how they can get on hard times, especially you get out and certain people who have PTSD, who don't have help for it or whatever, don't know how to deal with it. I have it. I went to counseling. I encourage other Marines to get counseling as well, even if you don't think you had it. Like, I'll tell you a quick story. I know this one Marine, he was in the Marines in the 80s, whatever. I was working at him in this one job, and I saw how kind of high-strung he was, and certain things. He was still in a Marine Corps mindset, even he's been out for 30 years. And I was just telling him, like, maybe he should talk to somebody, because I see the signs, being that I haven't been out that long, and I still have a Marine Corps mindset to an extent, but you learn to transition into civilian life because it's completely different. And I could just see it on them. You know what I mean? And I've been in I've trained MMA where I've met Marines who train MMA because of their PTSD or different martial arts, or go over here to work out. And I meet Marines who know certain things they have to do to check their self, if you will, to make it better. And there's others who have nothing positive to do, who you can see how they can go down that road. So I want to be help for both sides because both affect me. And I am a black man and I am a veteran. So those are two of my biggest things I want to do through my creativity and giving back. My greatest desire, I think I kind of touched on that in the last thing, is basically to be able to create and at the same time help people. I think I am, the steps I'm taking right now is exactly what I'm doing. I know a lot of people know I'm pro-black. It's cool, you know. I mean, it doesn't mean anti-white, doesn't mean anti-anything. I just want to see my people do better, just like the Chinese. They have their community. They do what they do. You know, I want ours to be as well. So the steps I'm taking is basically kind of doing what I'm doing. Like I said, with the roles I take, I make sure they're interesting, but at the same time, I make sure it's not. I don't like stereotypical roles, and I let people know that. I don't have an agent right now. I've tried to, but in the meeting, I let them know I don't want to be stereotyped. I've turned down roles where I felt like I'm not about this. This isn't. I don't want people to look at this and feel this is cool or whatever. Or I've turned down. I know there's one scary movie. It started off really great, but it was a stereotypical role. They built my character really good up, and then I died in the first 20 minutes. And it's like, okay, you're still back to that formula. The black guy dies first. I'm good. It's a great script, but it's not for me. I'm not gonna go there or whatever. So like I said, I try to watch what I portray in movies. You know what I mean? Of course, it's entertainment, but I still try to keep a mindful eye on what I'm doing. It has to make sense with the character and the overall plot and what's going on. And also with my current films I'm coming up, a lot of the things I'm passionate about, I try to put them into films. Even if you don't think there's an underlying message to what I'm creating, there's always an underlying message. Like it might be a crazy movie, but the underlying message might be greed. So you're gonna have to. I want you to think. My movies, I really want you to think and be like, Empathy. That was first short film I got into film festivals last year. I got into at least 3. That basically was about police brutality. But what I did was I reversed everything and I had blacks be the majority and whites be the minority. And like I said, I just want you to think. With all my things, there's a underlying message. Even if you don't think there's an underlying message, there's an underlying message within each of them where I'd be like, okay, this is the premise, but this is what it's about. I want you to get that. And a lot of times it goes over people's heads, and I understand that, but I just tell them, hey, watch back. If you don't get it, I'll explain it to you, but I want you to really watch that. So I'm trying to also, put the medicine in the candy, if you will, with my films. And, so I just have to keep doing what I'm doing and keep grinding and just know that it's going to work out. You got to stay positive because it's going to be a lot of no's. If you watch interviews from Denzel or some people who you think are some great actors, they'll tell you they had about 80 to 100 no's. And you're like, them? Yeah, them. So you just have to keep the pace, keep it steady. Even if you have to go Ben Affleck route. Ben Affleck is doing amazing things right now. He's not really getting hired for a lot of projects over here. So he said, okay, I'm going to start writing my own, directing and putting myself in my movies. Argo, he won an Academy Award. I mean, I haven't seen Accountant yet, but a lot of people are saying, yo, Accountant is great. Who did that? He did that. He said, okay, you're not going to give me a lane, I'm going to create my own lane. And things will come. If they don't, hey, I just keep doing this. And so that's what I'm about, and that's what I'm going to continue to be about until I get to here where I can actually put in place everything I want to do. And I'm getting back into mentoring as well. I was doing that. I'm getting back into mentoring, basically teaching kids how to act and direct and stuff like that, giving them something else to do. Because like I said, when I won my award, that person over there that's doing the bad stuff or whatever, they'll take them under their wing in a heartbeat. Whereas us that have businesses or do certain things, they'll ask questions and it's kind of like a blow off. And they can always go right over there and they're going to teach them their business. So I'd rather you come over here, I'll teach you my business so you can do this, so you can pass it on, instead of going over there and becoming a statistic. Because a lot of my friends are from back home are statistics, and I was lucky. I felt like I was lucky. I got out of a lot of situations, and I think it was all God. When you look back at it, certain things that could have happened to me that did not happen to me because I was taken out of the situation, not even by my own hands, because I wanted to be there, but something happened where I had to be over here, and so I understand what goes on or how quickly your life can just change. So, yeah, I'm gonna keep pushing through.